to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hiya.
So we've got a great show for you. We're going to hit COVID, and we're going to hit a couple of other interesting things, one of which is public broadcasting.
Yes.
Yes. But we're going to hit a couple segments here on COVID, and you may be thinking, dude, give it up. But here it's so important to not give it up, because this isn't like, oh, we're done, we're past that. We don't know what's coming up. And so it's important to continue to hold people's feet to the fire, to continue to demand accountability, and to try and spread the word on what really took place.
Right.
And one of the ways that we did that, it was very fun.
Well, let's explain the background too,
Yes.
because there's a fellow named Steven Crowder, and
Yes,
he
love.
loves to go to college campuses and various places actually, and he puts up a table, and on his table it usually has something on the front of the table where it says, "Change my mind." So he'll give a premise and then he'll say, "Change my mind." And then he'll wait for people to come up and ostensibly probably videotape them and their responses, et cetera. So, of course, the inimitable Rick Becker decided to mimic this in Bismarck, North Dakota. And yeah, there it is. You can see. So,
And, yeah, Beck did a great job. I mean, that's a heck of a nice table thingy there. But we did. I mean, you know, it's if it's the best form of flattery is imitation, and so that's what we did with Steven Crowder's. And that the point was that we wanted to be able to allow people just to come up and say, "You're wrong. You're a fool. This is why it's working." Right there are Mr. and Mrs. Coots. They are really interesting people, very intelligent, very insightful and thoughtful people. See, I had never met them before, and they came across it just by happenstance. They were going to eat an India clay oven, yeah. And they were walking by, and I said, "Hey, do you have an opinion on the mandates?" And you know, anyway, we got discussing things, and they're aware of the various studies and statistics.
wow, fantastic.
So again, the main point was to let people come and say, "No, the curve is working," because we hear that on social media, right? And we get slammed if we have an opinion that the mandates aren't having the effect that people say they are.
Right.
So rather than all of the diatribes and the vitriol is a word that's commonly used.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm out on the street. Just come on in. Tell me. Change my mind. Tell me why it is that you believe that the mandates worked. I know the numbers are dumb, but let's talk about this.
Did somebody change your mind? Did anyone change your mind?
Nobody. Okay, so I had a lot of people come up, and some actually came down specifically to say they liked what we were doing. They liked me expressing the opinions about COVID and the mandates. They agreed 100%. And then again, a couple that had just were happenstance, but also fully agreed. A lot of people driving by on Main honking, thumbs up, things like that. So
You didn't really have anybody in
a-
opposition?
I had one person.
Oh, good.
One person. They didn't have the fortitude to stop, but they drove by in their pickup and they shouted out, "Rick Becker, you media whore." Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah, I said, well, you know, is that a bad thing? But
Okay, well, opinions matter, I guess.
And I was saying to our production crew, gosh, I wish that they would have been at the stoplight and saying that, because I would have said, "Dude, come on over.
Right.
Let's talk. I'm happy to talk to anyone." But of course, what would have occurred is if the light had turned red, they wouldn't have said that.
Right.
So all in all, to be honest, I'm not surprised. I had predicted that nobody was going to stop. And again, the thing is that people are so enmeshed with the emotion
Right.
about this, they can't separate themselves, and they know in their heart that they have nothing to stand on, but they want to believe.
Do you feel like there are those who are emboldened by, say, social media, and that they will say something behind the keyboard
Yes.
and behind the screen, but not necessarily in person? They're not bold and brave enough to say something in person? Or is it just a matter of they have that gut feeling, they feel like, okay, I really not sure that it actually is helping?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people being emboldened because they have the anonymity or the lack of concern about being called out. You can't challenge, or you can challenge, but a person's not obligated to respond in any manner. And there have been a number of times, both with COVID and other things, that someone will say something really out there and kind of a personal attack, like, which is the usual thing.
Sure.
But if I'm able to be in the state of mind that I just come back and say, hey, you know, this is this, what's this? This is what I'm trying to get at. Is this something you're really? And then it's amazing how quickly, not everyone, there are some real trolls out there.
Right, I've
But
seen it.
how quickly some will then say, well, here's what I say. And we have, in a matter of like 4 back and forths, suddenly it's completely civil. They say, thanks for responding. I respect your opinion, but disagree, or, you know, whatever it might be.
Right.
And that's what I wanted for this, is just face-to-face, human contact.
Love
and
it.
you suddenly can be civil.
Well, and the other thing that I really, really love about this particular way of going about it is the fact that we have a pretty good rapport, honestly, and we're going to get to that later in Mailbag tonight. We have a really good rapport with our audience. I mean, I feel like it's a very good conversation that we're going back and forth. We're talking to people. They're giving us opinions. I know I'm getting a bunch of opinions from people and ideas and things for shows, and people really are you know, they're very talkative in North Dakota. They're really, they find us accessible, and I really appreciate that. I think this was a really good, so my question is are we to expect further Change My Minds?
I would love to, and I'd even like to do this one again, because since it got a little bit of publicity, it was in the newspaper, and a couple of reporters came down, and I challenged one to,
Great.
but they said, nope, that's not, they're on the job, that's not their job.
Okay.
So I said, well, you just do role playing, but it didn't work. But I think that it would be worthwhile to even do it again, because like I say, it got some publicity, more people are aware of it. There may be people who say, I'm happy to come down, I didn't know it was going to be there, or whatever. And I tell you what, I'm happy to take the challenge.
Right.
And I've asked physicians and other healthcare people who have the opinion that the mandates are the reason, despite all the evidence to the contrary, to come on the show. But thus far, I've not had any takers.
Well, I have heard just in the last few days, 2 separate occasions where someone I know has stated that when someone was waiting on them at a restaurant or a coffee bar or something like that, they were talking to the person who was wearing the mask behind the counter, stated that they were happy to wear the masks. They felt safer. They felt like they were really happy that they might last longer. And I was a little shocked and taken aback by that. But I heard that 2 times, and it's just this last week.
Right. Well, what you have there is the effect of Big Brother.
Right.
Because it's repeated over and over and over. It's on our highways. Mask up ND, mask saves lives, et cetera, et cetera. And the narrative in the media as well. And how things are pushed. And they will take a state like North Dakota and South Dakota, when our peak was really going up, and before we had the statewide mask mandate, and saying how foolish we were, and people were saying, what an embarrassment North Dakota is to the country.
Nationally, right?
Right, and of course now things are reversed, and now you're not hearing anything.
Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
That's the way it always goes, and so the narrative is being pushed day in, day out, that mask saves lives, and if you care about your fellow citizens, if you care about your family, you're going to wear a mask every single day. And then we see everyone who wears a mask is a hero. And so it's not surprising to me, especially if they're maybe young people, that they're buying in, because it's just repetition.
Right.
And that's kind of I mean, I hate to go off on a tangent with, you know, tinfoil hat, but that's the thing when you have government and media working in concert and sending us the same crap, the same filtered crap all day long, every day. It soaks in. You repeat a lie often enough, and it becomes truth.
Yeah, well, I was a little disturbed by that, needless to say, that people are feeling that it's a false sense of security. And I say false sense of security because I am pretty sure that masks, for me, do not work well because they make me feel sick when I wear them.
Yeah, there's issues. And we've talked about it before. I think masks work. They work the same degree that sneezing or coughing into your elbow works. It actually stops the 5-foot or 6-foot dispersion of an aerosol.
Right.
So it works in that sense.
Right.
But that's it, and the studies show that. And I think it was Mayo that showed the mask and the aerosol without a mask. Yeah, it shoots way out there 6 feet. You wear a mask, and it comes, and it's a cloud around your head that other people then walk through. So
we're going to actually go a little bit farther with the COVID story in our next segment, where we're going to talk about the curves once again. So please come back and join us.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Heroes and Icons is changing to Cozy TV on January 18th. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
And we're back. No apologies on back. We've been talking about COVID. We just showed a really fun table we did, a Crowder-like table where we were challenging people to, in a nice way, challenging people to let us know what it was that they were thinking, why the mandates worked, and didn't get any takers. But now we want to proceed into a discussion we've had, I guess, a couple weeks ago now,
Right.
about curves, COVID curves, and how North Dakota compares to South Dakota, because that's the obvious thing with South Dakota not having mandates, North Dakota having mandates, and they're being so similar.
And they are similar. I mean, when you think about the demographics, you see just the topography, actually, even the, the place in the country, there are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities between the type of people who are in North and South Dakota, too, rugged individualists. And so there are those who say that it's apples and oranges because they're two completely different states, but there are so many similarities. I don't know why you can't compare them.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Anyway.
So what I'd like to do is start the conversation off right now with a graphic. We've showed you graphs in the past comparing the two states, and this is obviously a great one, and you will see that the curves are extremely similar. These are the cases per 100,000, so it's corrected for population. South Dakota, I think, has like 75,000 people more than us. So it's corrected for population. You'll see that despite what South Dakota didn't do and North Dakota did do in November, everything is looking very, very similar. Now, one of the things to take into consideration is South Dakota, their slope started coming up just a little behind North Dakota.
Right.
And so when you see that the curve is starting to come down a little bit slower, part of that is artifact because it's coming down just a little bit later.
Right.
So if you were to move the orange curve ever so slightly to the left, it would be more of the apples to apples because, of course, things don't happen all across the country at exactly the same time. But I wanted you folks to see how close the curves are. North Dakota was a little bit higher at their peak.
So we're in blue and they're
We are
in
blue.
orange.
South Dakota's in orange. And again, two curves nearly identical, one with no mandate, one with a mandate.
Vastly different
Yes.
policies.
Yes. So I want to then talk about a couple of the metrics that we commonly look at.
Okay.
There are, every day, there's a new 7-day average for new cases per 100,000. We do that per 100,000 people so that you can compare even North Dakota to New York. If you just took total cases, it's meaningless because, of course, North Dakota is going to be way less.
Right.
But if you do it per 100,000 people, now you have apples to apples again. So they commonly look at the 7-day average of cases per 100,000. North Dakota, I looked this morning, North Dakota is at 32.4. South Dakota is at 46.
Interesting.
So you can say, wow, South Dakota is notably higher than North Dakota. It is notably, if that's the only data you had, if you recall how much higher it used to be and that North Dakota used to be higher. But they're actually still very close. Compare North Dakota and South Dakota to Minnesota and Montana. So again, North Dakota at 32.5, South Dakota at 46. Minnesota, that had much stricter mandates in place than North Dakota, much longer than North Dakota, is at 34.5. So they're higher. They're between North Dakota and South Dakota. Montana, which also had a mask mandate, like North Dakota, but put it on earlier, but was not as restrictive as Minnesota, is at 49.5.
Oh, wow. So they're the highest.
way higher than all of them. So if you believe that the mandates work, what is it that makes it so that some work a little bit and some work a lot and not doing it all works kind of a pretty good amount too? That doesn't make sense. Here's another thing. The percent change over the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's another thing that they look at to see what's happening because many people noted, the pro-mandate people noted that North Dakota's trend was coming down faster at a steeper slope than South Dakota. Now, in part, it was because North Dakota's peak was higher, and so it's easier to come down faster.
Right.
And in part, they're right. There was just a slight difference. But over the last 3 weeks, North Dakota's cases dropped by 28%.
Wow.
South Dakota's dropped by 30%. South Dakota, no mask mandate. Again, here's why we had the table.
Right.
Changed my mind. Why is it that mask mandates are working? If you look at the all-time high, again, comparing North Dakota to South Dakota, on November 15th, North Dakota hit its high for number of new cases per day at 184 per 100,000.
Okay.
Okay.
184.
South Dakota hit their high 4 days earlier at 164 per 100,000.
Okay.
Now, that's just to show where the two states are because 11/15 is when the mandates went in place.
In
Okay.
November, right.
November 15th. This is another, don't lose this little bit of important information.
Okay.
11/15 was the high point for cases in North Dakota, meaning after that date, they were coming down.
Right.
The high date is the day that Burgum's mandates went into effect.
So it had already
They could
peaked.
not have had an effect for a minimum of 7, more like 14 days after. The mandates didn't do it, people. I don't know how it can be more clear. Science doesn't need to be complicated.
Right.
Okay, now, let's talk just a little bit about some of the other states. Florida, you
Okay.
met the governor. I think that I think he made your heart flutter from
He
what I
did.
can
I really
tell.
liked him.
Yeah. So,
Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. He's
yeah,
talking about.
so he's pretty open. Governor, he's kind of like Kristi Noem, right? Florida is mostly open.
He talked about how their schools are in session, in person, and that the parents are thrilled and the kids are happy.
Yep. So Florida, with almost no mandates, they are in the last 7 days an average of 72 per 100,000. Okay?
Wow, okay.
So higher than us, right?
Right, right.
But things ebb and flow. New York clamped down like crazy. They're like China.
Their
China.
streets are empty.
Right. Clamped down like crazy. New York, for all of that suffering they're putting their citizens through, Florida at 72, New York, 74.
Oh, wow. Completely
Okay,
different.
New Jersey.
Wow, this is,
New Jersey also clamped down.
right?
Totally clamped down. Florida, 72. New Jersey, 85.
So, okay.
Wait, one more.
Okay.
California.
All right.
California. The slick governor there,
Gavin Newsom.
who believes in totalitarianism, and the people there are really suffering.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, my goodness, I don't know how
I
you
feel
can
bad
do
for
that to your
restaurant
people.
owners.
I don't know how well, I do know. I guess it's the legislature is what the legislature is there.
Right.
With all their suffering that has been going on for months. And I will remind you that we were told California was the shining example of what to do, that all of those draconian measures that clamped down on people's freedom, that was the way to go. That's why California was lower than North Dakota, which the liberals in North Dakota tried to convince you that was a reason to be embarrassed to live in North Dakota.
Remember that? Oh, that made me so mad.
Florida, 72 per 100,000. California, 107.
Well, there you go. It's just the opposite. It flies in the face of any type of metrics, or any type of mask mandate story they're trying to feed
New
you.
York was also, the wonderful governor there, Cuomo, killed all the old people by shoving COVID-positive patients into the nursing homes. He was the greatest governor that the United States has ever seen because he got the cases to drop, except it didn't actually drop because of him. It dropped in spite of him because that's what COVID did in New York, and now it's peaking up again despite all of the clampdowns.
How about the timing of things? The New Year's Eve and the holidays and how...
Yes.
Because that was the other story. It was kind of like, well, all these people are going to be together, and what's going to happen is we're going to have massive problems afterwards.
So the Screechers, who wanted people to listen to government no matter what government said, back when Governor Burgum closed all of the bars and restaurants, the gyms, the salons, massage places, theaters, closed them for 6 weeks. They said, oh my gosh, Governor Burgum, don't do it. You're being ridiculous. When you open it, we're going to have a spike. No spike. What happened when Governor Burgum took the curfew off shortly before the holidays? They said, number one, people are congregating for Christmas. There's going to be a spike. Number two, Governor Burgum, my gosh, what were you thinking? You took the curfew down, so now people are going to be out at the bars leading up to New Year's Eve. They're going to be out New Year's Eve. They're going to be drunk. There's going to be a huge spike. What's happened?
No spike.
No spike.
I don't know how I knew
No spike
that.
at all. Because none of what government is doing is making a hill of beans difference, except making our lives miserable and making some of us feel safer.
It's all true. All right.
Oy, 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 oy.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to again, but we're on a little different angle. We're going to talk COVID. This time about an article that was written.
Two
and
articles.
Two
We're gonna
different
give you
ones
the deets.
competing. We'll be right back.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here were terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis
Of sanity.
Sanity. We make the insane sane. We make the blind see. No.
No.
Just the insane sane.
Stick with it.
All right. So we're going to hit one more COVID segment. I referenced before why it's important and that we're not trying to beat a dead horse, but this may come back, and it's important for people to know, at least have the information to make their decision on whether they think mandates are important, useful, and should be re-implemented in the event of reinfection spikes and so forth, whether it's COVID, whether it's a mutated COVID, or something entirely different.
Because it's probably coming back.
It's probably coming back. So this time we can be informed and prepared and maybe have an effect on things. So there are a couple of articles in the paper. Right. Dr. Carson is with NDSU. He's in
Dr.
public
Paul
health.
Carson?
Yes, Dr. Paul Carson. At NDSU, he is with public health and infectious disease. He has a specialty in infectious disease. So I had put out an indication. There was a news story where I said, hey, listen, if there's evidence that these mandates work, I will get on board. Just show me the evidence. And so Dr. Carson wrote an editorial. He didn't talk to me, but he wrote an editorial in the Fargo Forum that laid out his evidence. I responded. We don't have my response here, but you can find it if you look it up. I responded back saying, here's the problem with your quote-unquote evidence, and let's get back to real things. Now, since then, we're going to hit that, but since then, other people, the media, has picked up on the fact that North Dakota and South Dakota appear to be nearly identical. And so Adam Willis wrote an article, and it's entitled, North Dakota Got a Mask Mandate, South Dakota Didn't. COVID-19 cases have plummeted in both, and how true that is. Dr. Carson, who again is that infectious disease specialist at NDSU, he said that when we look at this data and these charts, they're more like a Rorschach test. So a Rorschach is the ink. It's an old
It's the blot.
Right. They're ink blots. What do you see? You know, if you say, "I see someone killing my mother with a spoon."
Everybody sees something different from the right.
Right. So it's a Rorschach test, meaning, and he says it basically there, that people see into it what they want to see into it. He said the question is more nuanced than that. So folks, I want you to keep, and I'm not trying to diss Dr. Carson. I asked him to be on the show tonight, by the way. He was too busy.
Oh, too bad.
He said he has, I forget, up to 5 media requests per day.
Wow.
He was very polite. Perhaps he will come on another time. He's certainly welcome to come on anytime at all. But let's pull up that graph again we showed in segment 2. Now, folks, this is what I'm talking about. In previous statements, Dr. Carson and essentially all of the others like him.
And we should be clear that this is not the Dr. Carson that you're thinking about. This is Dr. Paul Carson from NDSU.
Right, not the neurosurgeon, the infectious disease specialist from North Dakota. So when you look at this chart, to me, this is not a Rorschach test. There's nothing nuanced about it. This is a situation in which someone who is in public health has a predetermined idea of what is supposed to be, and when the evidence is presenting otherwise, is trying to figure out how it can be spun.
Right.
Let's move to the next graphic with regard to quotes. Now, Njau, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but Njau is an epidemiologist with the North Dakota Department of Health. So Njau is arguing that, well, some of the local mask mandates may have helped to turn the state around. So she's talking essentially Minot, Grand Forks, Fargo, Bismarck.
Okay.
But they didn't. If you follow the data when those masks mandates were implemented, first, they weren't mandates, but secondly, it didn't do anything. It's just retrospectively saying, well, we don't know, it doesn't make sense, so maybe this helped. Okay, then she said, to me, it does tell me that they are doing something. It may not just be as visible or as pronounced as what North Dakota may be doing. So she's saying South Dakota has to be doing something. They have to, because if they're not, it doesn't fit into my predetermined narrative.
Exactly.
Kay Specker is an epidemiologist at SDSU, South Dakota State University. She said, or he said, I forget now, I apologize, that the mask mandate in the city of Brookings, that may be a local intervention that may have helped. But wait a minute. The mask mandate in Brookings in September?
Right.
In September?
September.
That mask mandate, that's what made the curve go down after between September and December. It spiked incredibly.
Yeah.
Again, wishful thinking, trying to cram the facts, which are a round peg, into their narrative, which is a square hole.
Right.
Okay? Oh, Dr. Carson says, I have to surmise North Dakota's more rapid decline. Again, it's barely more rapid. It is more rapid, I'll grant you that, but it's barely more rapid.
Yeah.
Its decline in cases and hospitalizations is being expedited by policy measures implemented by the governor. You have to surmise that because of what? Not based on data. You have to surmise it because that's what you believed already. Go to the next graphic, please. As Carson watches the pandemic ebb and flow around the country, he said he's still developing his own theories on how exactly this virus spreads and which tactics are most effective at slowing it down.
Wait a minute. His own theories?
Right. Because the theory that mask mandates work fell apart. So now what you do is you look at all the data, you cherry pick, you try and do correlations between state A and state Z, regardless of any correlation can be made, and you try and draw some kind of conclusion based on that.
Got it.
He says, he said he's been kicking around another theory too. I'm telling you, this is, and no disrespect to Dr. Carson, but Dr. Carson falls into the same trap that so many public health people do, and that is that they truly believed something. They owned it. It was their job. It's their job to protect the people of the state. This is how they protect them. It completely dissipates before their eyes. The data is no longer there. The facts are completely not on their side. So instead of saying, you know what, I was wrong, they can't do that.
No, they have to come up with another theory to
Everything
back up
falls
what they
apart.
say.
Their whole purpose for their job falls apart. So they come up with something to fit the narrative. This is why, folks, you have to be aware of this. And again, hopefully Dr. Carson can come on with us in the future because I would love to hear some explanations.
All right. When we come back, we're going to a different topic. This time we're pulling out the mailbag. Join us. We'll be right back.
Done with COVID. Done.
Howdy, folks. It's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you'll do for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bossing breakfast and homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotaCommunityBank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Hey, we're back. No apologies. On back. It's time for mailbag.
We're going to have some sort of a graphic or audio or something
I
on
still
that.
haven't looked up Blue's Clues.
I love Blue's Clues. All right, we're old and had kids who like that. So can I say something really quick?
Please do.
Okay, so what I'd like to say is we are really enjoying the interaction. I alluded to it earlier in the show tonight, but we really appreciate the communication two ways. This is a medium where we're talking and spewing things at you, but we really do appreciate the communication back. So we've gotten many, many posts on Facebook, many, many instant messages and other things like that. So we've got a different kind of mishmash of mailbag for you tonight from a number of different sources. So first one we're going to show you is from Facebook, and this showed up on Facebook for us, and it says, Rick, that huge $1 billion plus bonding bill will tie the hands of future legislative sessions. North Dakota already has about $425 million in outstanding bonds right now. Our Republican legislature needs to get their act together. This huge spending bill is being pushed by the legislature or legislative rhinos. And notice there is not one tax cut being proposed by the legislators pushing this huge spending bill. I thought that was very prescient and very observant.
Yeah. Well, he is right. We do have debt currently, and it's in the form of bonds. And I agree. We need to get our act together. We were pretty darn clear on the recent show where we need to live within our means, and we don't want to borrow. We call it bonding, and we say, hey, it's low interest rates, so let's do it. But the thing is, what's better than borrowing at low interest rates? Living within your means.
Not borrowing at all?
Not borrowing at all. Exactly right. He's got a good point. There are not tax cuts being proposed. And in fact, I will make this one additional comment. Some of the thoughts are we need to do the bonding so we don't have to raise taxes. Literally.
Oh, wow.
Literally.
Wow.
So, today I did say, there is a third option. It isn't a matter of we borrow or we raise taxes. We can spend less as far as ongoing spending goes so that we can do the things we need to do.
So we don't have to raise taxes. We don't have to borrow.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have to spend as much. That's it.
You know what? It's gotten so bad. I'm happy spending every penny that we have like we are.
You
just
are?
don't borrow. Well, okay.
What?
That's not true. I'm not happy.
Okay, I was just going to say.
But what I'm saying is at this point, if we could just take borrowing and taxing more off the table,
right,
I would be satisfied because I I am shocked and appalled that that's what we're looking at, those two options. So
those are the only choices.
Yeah.
So. All right, so our next one is from an email that came into No Apologies, and this says, will the North Dakota legislature be taking up a bill like HB 1309 from 2019, where the state would have become a gun rights sanctuary state, in quotes, from the excessive federal gun control? I am worried about the policies of the incoming Biden administration and their stated goals of infringing on the Second Amendment rights of our citizens. Thanks for your time. And then the link is added, which was very welcome too. I thought that was pretty cool too. So thank you to the person who sent that to us. And the question for you is, will the legislature be taking up a bill like that one?
Yep. It turns out that 1309 was my bill from last time.
There you go.
And there is another one. I'm getting signatures on it now, meaning co-sponsors, other legislators. It's similar to the bill last year, but it's better. It addresses some of the concerns of BCI, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, because they have a lot of influence on the legislature. I believe it fully addresses their concerns without weakening the bill at all.
Excellent.
The idea is, now, I'm not fond of the sanctuary state concept, because we aren't saying that it's legal. So say, for instance, that there's a new law that the Biden administration and the legislature passes. We're not saying that that law can be disobeyed. We're not saying that it's legal to do what they say you can't. But what this is doing, the Second Amendment Preservation Bill, is a form of nullification where we are simply saying, you know what, I guess that's the federal law. That's not how we want to do things in North Dakota. So if you want to enforce it, you have that right, but we are not going to use our taxpayer dollars to force our local and state law enforcement to go in and try and do what you say should be done. You do that with your U.S. Marshals, with your FBI, with your ATF. We're not going to waste the tax dollars. And what I said to BCI, we're going to hit this again. So if you watch every night, good for you, number one. Number two, you're going to hear it again. What I had told the folks at BCI is I cannot imagine putting our law enforcement officers in North Dakota in the position that they have to knock on a fellow citizen's door to say, give me your guns. That, number one, is not going to end well. And number two, needlessly puts the citizens of North Dakota at odds with law enforcement, and we don't need that with what's been going on in the country.
Is there a better phrase for gun rights sanctuary state? Is there a better way to phrase that so that it doesn't sound like sanctuary city or sanctuary state? Because there's got to be some wording that...
Well, it's not quick and easy, but I like Second Amendment preservation state.
Okay.
We are preserving the Second Amendment. We can't tell you, federal government, what to do. But we can choose not to expend our resources doing something we think is wrong.
Exactly. Well, the third one, and well, you can take this one because this was an email.
So this is an email I received. This gentleman says, I saw your bit in the paper about doing the mask. So he's talking about the Crowder table that we did. He said he wished he had known, because he would have posed the question, since I feel masks are unimportant, which is not what I said I'm against mask mandates, everyone gets that confused. Why do you wear one when practicing your trade, meaning plastic surgery?
Right.
Now, I think that's a fair question. I've been asked it a lot. So I want to quickly, in our last couple minutes here, share with you my response. And I'm going to read it to you. It says, hi, so-and-so. The reason masks are worn in the OR is twofold. The operating room is twofold. One is so the blood and fluids don't get in the surgeon's mouth. The other is so the surgeon's spit doesn't get into the patient's open wound. It's not to stop a virus. And prior to COVID, we would have been saying that that would be ridiculous to think it would stop a virus. In many countries, the operating room personnel don't even wear masks if they're not right at the operating room table.
Wow.
To underscore that masks don't prevent transmission, we surgeons know that if we need to cough or sneeze, we don't turn our head away because we know that the air blows out the sides and behind us, and we don't want that to get in the patient's wound. That means that the aerosol is going out. We recognize that. If you watch, say, a female with lighter hair, in front of the ears and stuff, you can watch the hair blowing with that. And that's just an indication. I had a server, I say in the email, who was just served us some food. As he was setting down the entrees, he turned his head and gave this big sneeze while the back of his mask was pouring out our food. I was so irritated. So what I say is, and I point out the Mayo study that I mentioned earlier, they stop an aerosol from going forward. The masks help. They do help to a degree, about the same degree as politely coughing or sneezing into your elbow. That is a fact. And he said, he had made it was personal for him. It's personal for so many people. And I agreed with him. If wearing a mask would get your mom back in your family life, you would wear one, and I would too. The problem is we are misled. It won't get mom back into our family life. The mandate won't. So that's that.
Thank
email.
you. Very thoughtful and very smart viewers. We have very,
Yeah, we do.
very, very smart viewers. All right, when we come back, our final segment of the night, it happens to be today Public Radio Broadcasting Day, and we're going to talk about that next here on No Apologies.
Howdy, folks. It's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota. Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. We are at our final segment. Thank you for hanging with us today. We are going to talk now a little bit about, what day is it today?
It is actually Public Radio Broadcasting Day nationally. It's like one of those National Day celebration things. So they have their own day celebration, Public Radio Broadcasting Day today.
Okay.
So the deal is the first public radio broadcast in history took place 110 years ago exactly on this day today. It was January 13th, 1910, and a live opera featuring some of the most renowned opera singers of the day in 1910 was broadcast from the Metropolitan Opera House, and that's how it actually began. Now, I might add, this is an editorial comment here, just to couch it in that. Since then, it appears, at least to me, that the original intent, the reporting of the news on public broadcasting stations has moved decidedly away from the original mission of public broadcasting, which was to bring things to the masses in a nonpartisan way. It just seems to me like that has greatly changed over the years.
Yep, I agree. And I tell you what, there's one channel I really like, The Current in Minneapolis. It's fantastic. I love their music. I love their lineup. I love everything about them, except that they run on the taxpayer's dime. And I think they have a huge audience. If they just had a subscription for $3 a month, they would be completely self-funded, and the people that listen to The Current would pay that. If I
Right.
lived in Minneapolis, I would pay it.
Well, it's interesting to me. I view this, I've been a radio announcer for 40 years, so that's my regular day job. And honestly, the fact of the matter is there are small businesses that have radio stations, and then you've got government subsidized businesses competing with those local businesses, and that to me seems troublesome, to say the least. I mean, it's just a lack of. I'd like the government out of broadcasting and let the broadcasters do that. Free market capitalism and all, and rather than having to compete against a station for audience, it just seems unfair to me.
I agree. Government should not be doing that which private industry can do equally or better.
Now, on that same vein, PBS, another public broadcasting system, and you may be familiar. I grew up watching Sesame Street. I literally learned to count to 20 from Sesame Street. So I watched public broadcasting. I would not have my children watch it now. There's just so much indoctrination and things that I couldn't do it. And my children never did as I was raising them. But
it took me years for the teacher to make me not count by saying 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Actually, see anybody who grew up with that, yeah. So
a couple of you thought that was funny.
and there's and we're all in the same age group. But all right, so the story that I want to talk to you a little bit about is about James O'Keefe's Project Veritas. He had a video. Are you familiar with his videos?
I love Project Veritas.
They're so good, and he uses citizen journalists. If you go to the website, just so you know, if you go to that website, it says, "Do you want to be one of our journalists?" on the site, and you can sign up to do the undercover stuff, that's cool.
Yeah, I think Veritas is Latin for truth.
Well, that's perfect because that's exactly what he uncovers all the time with live video. And he does the whole video and then shows you clips of it later. And then people are like, oh, you're going to have to be sued because, and then he shows them the whole video clip, which I adore. So love this stuff. Anyway, principal counsel for PBS, a guy named Michael Beller, got fired.
No, what
Yes,
happened? Tell me
he
what
got
happened.
fired because of a Project Veritas video. And we're going to show you that first so that you can see why he may have gotten fired.
Anyone Biden wins will go through all the Republican voters, and Homeland Security will take their children away. How about that? And we'll put them into re-education camps.
Amen.
In these times, which are unique, we need someone who's close to him.
What are we going to do if we don't like you? It doesn't
Go to the White House and throw Molotov cocktails. These kids who are growing up knowing nothing but Trump, for 4 years, you gotta wonder what they're gonna be like. Are we raising a generation of intolerant, horrible people, horrible kids? Enlightenment camps.
Right.
They're nice. They have Sesame Street characters in the classroom, and they watch PBS all day.
I'm going to go home and watch it.
Dumb. Most people are dumb. It's good to live in a place where people are, educated and know stuff. And can you imagine if you lived in one of these other towns or states where everybody's just stupid? What's great is that COVID's spiking in all the red states right now. So that's great.
Why do you think so?
Because either those people will come out to vote for Trump, go to the red states, or a lot of them are sick and dying.
That is despicable. It's just so disturbing.
I love it. I love that is recorded because that's how a lot of those leftist elites think and talk. They are in a world unto themselves. It's despicable, and I'm so glad we got to see that.
Well, and this fellow, this is PBS's response then right after this. So this is from 1:22 p.m. yesterday. PBS response to Project Veritas, quote, "This employee no longer works for PBS as a mid-level staff attorney. He did not speak on behalf of our organization, nor did he make any editorial decisions." So they basically demoted him immediately with their tweet here too. "There is no place for hateful rhetoric at PBS, and this individual's views in no way reflect our values and opinions. We strongly condemn violence and will continue to do what we have done for 50 years, use our national platform and local presence to strengthen communities and bring people together."
Yep.
I don't feel very together with the DC guy. I don't know about you, Mr. Flyover Country, but I did not really take the whole red state slur very well.
No, I didn't. But I'm gonna go on the flip side here just for a second.
Okay.
Because he was not part of programming, he was a lawyer, that dirtbag, for all I care, could have kept his job.
Right.
Because I don't believe in cancel culture. I am so happy we saw what kind of crap people are saying and thinking and acting on. I'm so happy, but I'm not calling for his firing or anything. At least we know the caliber of people out east, in the left, and apparently working for PBS. North Dakota, by the way, $1.2 million was given to Prairie Public this last biennium and the biennium before, and more than that in the biennium before that.
That's a lot of really great new equipment that they can buy for their stations and that the local guy can't afford. So,
I know,
okay.
I know.
All right.
Okay, that's it for tonight.
Next time, I got it. We
Go.
will talk about overreach for governors across the United States, and we'll have a couple of different guests. Join us.